What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Monday. Big boy slate in the association. Still with these uneven slates. Tomorrow is going to be 4. Wednesday it's at least 10 or maybe 9 games or so. Tonight, DK did cut off a couple games. They cut off the last 2. So the last game tipping off on DK is 8:30 Eastern. But FanDuel did include the dual prong hammer out there on the West Coast. So it's an 11 game slate on FanDuel. Not a lot of time for shenanigans. It is also, speaking of not a lot of time for shenanigans, it's the return of Movie Monday. We're doing Movie Monday again. Movie Monday, if you guys are not aware, we're going to give away a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. All you got to do is tell me what movie I'm talking about in these 5 clues. I'll give them out individually every 5, 10, 15 minutes, periodically throughout the show. You give your answer, only one answer. You cannot MME one answer in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. A lot of our Discord channels are free. Of course, this channel is free as well. It would be kind of silly to not let everybody participate. Get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Tell me what movie we're talking about on a Movie Monday. And speaking of no time for shenanigans, well, it's myself, the People Show, Bobby Gomes, Tasteful Tides, Tim. The reason why we were a minute late, we were discussing the Dwayne Wade statue. Tim, welcome to the show. Dwayne Wade, Miami hero. We're going to have producer Steve throw it up on the screen. I want the people in chat. What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Maybe we can run a chat poll. Does this look like Dwayne Wade or not? Tim, here's the side-by-side. If you didn't know that was Dwayne Wade, who do you think that is in the statue?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. It does not look like Dwayne Wade at all. I don't really know what happened with this. You said that he visited the artist 4 times.
Yes, so, he was very hands-on.
Yeah, it's very odd. I don't know who that looks like, but it's definitely not Wade.
Wait, he wanted to also catch like the famous like "This is our house." So I guess like he was like pointing.
That's good right there.
So that's sort of what's happening there,
right?
But I don't know if they fully, I don't. Did they get the same guy that did the Ronaldo sculptor? That's kind of the level of talent. And who am I? I'm sure they did a better job than I would. I wouldn't know what I'm doing. But Bobby, do we? I think you're just learning this right now.
I just can't believe Dwayne Wade has a statue. But
stop it!
Come on, it is pretty scary. And next to the zombie guy, like if there is a zombie apocalypse, it would fit right in, But yeah, it's cool that he got a statue, I guess. But
I saw somebody comment. Keep it like up there just for 1 second, Steve. I saw somebody comment and they said, I can't unsee it. They said it looks more like Kelsey Grammer, which just I thought was hilarious. And like when somebody put that idea, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It kind of does look like Kelsey Grammer. Not a lot, but enough where it's like, yeah, okay. I don't know why Kelsey Grammer. He was on 2 of the longest running sitcoms of all time. I don't know why we get a statue in front of the Miami Heat arena, but there you go. Running a poll there in chat. Does it look like D-Wade, yes or no? And the current results are 95% no. So it is. One person says yes. Yes, it does look like D-Wade. They're asking me for inside sources as far as John Morant. I don't have any. It is an 11-gamer, 9-gamer on DK as far as entries, as far as who's in and who's out. I did pull up the situation room. Ja is officially questionable for FanDuel. Bradley Beal's got that elbow, so he's questionable. Didn't play last game. Grayson Allen also has been dinged. Franz Wagner, midday downgrade with an illness. One of his teammates was ill too, so maybe that's how he got it. Who knows? We'll see. New York is already pretty thin. Josh Hart is questionable. RJ Barrett, no longer in New York, but now in Toronto, is questionable. Quickly, I assume he's not going to play. He's officially doubtful. And his teammates, Barrett is questionable too. So we'll see that stuff as far as Toronto. Kind of a big one in our world, just kind of like for lineup construction, is Okongwu sitting on the back half of a back-to-back. We have a lot of back-to-back or front-end or back-end stuff. There's 4 on the front end. That's Dallas, Denver, Sacramento, Utah. 4 on the back end. Indiana, Milwaukee, Portland, Atlanta. I thought there was a chance. I was very, very close to betting Boston because I thought there was a chance we would get Giannis to sit tonight in the back half. But they've also been struggling games on NBA TV. 9.5 is the line. So it's kind of baked in. Or Boston's just really, really good. But it appears Giannis is officially questionable for what it's worth. I want to see if there's anything popping up for tomorrow. Ben Simmons is ruled out for injury management. All right, good to know. You want to give me a slate overview here, Tim? It's a lot going on, and again, worth noting, a little bit different on FanDuel with the 2 extra games. Before we go game by game, what are your thoughts? General thoughts?
Yeah, so definitely 2 completely different slates because of those two late games on FanDuel that I like. I like one of those quite a bit on FanDuel, so it's definitely going to be a completely different slate for me depending on which site we're talking about. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of news tonight. And I think it might open up a ton of value. But the thing is, a lot of these games are like right in the same window. And with DK chopping off those 2 late ones, it kind of makes late swap a little bit different than it normally would be. Like, it's hard to like backload your team. You're just going to have to wait and maybe take some chances in the beginning because so many of the games start between 7 and 7:30. But I mean, that Memphis news is gigantic. That's a really big thing. Losing Morant would be huge. I think Franz Wagner is also a really, really huge one too. And then RJ Barrett. I think those are the 3 biggest pieces of news. And then I think you mentioned that Atlanta situation. I see a lot of talk about Larry Nance. Like, we'll talk about it, but
yeah,
I mean, they're not. I don't. Are we projecting them to split those 5 minutes like right down the middle, or
about 45 minutes or so, like almost all of it? Yeah, Nance almost definitely. He's 3K stone min, which is useful, and he's also power forward / center, which I think is useful too. I think it's important that he's power forward eligible. If he was just center and center only, maybe it'll be a little bit different. But I think, and it's also the opponent as well, which we'll kind of talk about. The opponent against Washington. It's a good opponent for him, a good opponent for anybody. Washington is just a sieve for fantasy points, and maybe he can get there in just 20 minutes or so. He hasn't played all season long. But, it's a good conversation we'll have when we get there. And I think it's partly how tight is the cap. And right now it's a little tight for me, so I'm probably going to use some Nance.
Honestly, I just don't think it's going to end up that way, though, Dean. And
he plays.
No, I think a lot of things are going to open up, but the cap won't end up being tight. Is what I'm saying. And so I think somebody like Nance is going to fall pretty fast. I mean, he's not even projecting well right now.
Not great.
I mean, that's with 18 minutes. So I built a few teams before the show. I didn't get to any Nance. So
you got Capella though, right?
What's that?
I bet you got Capella.
Sure did.
Yeah. Bobby, what do you got? What do you want to add? A lot to talk about. We'll go game by game in just a second. Yeah, 8 of the 9 DK games start between 7 and 8. There's one 8:30 game, but yeah, it's kind of that sprint slate mentality, which I think is kind of fun. And we'll see if more news comes. Not a lot of big stuff waiting to drop. Even if even if the Wagner thing drops, Orlando's a really deep rotation. So I don't know how much that really matters. Like if Gary Harris gets elevated, I don't care. Maybe Bancaro gets a little bit more of that kind of thing. Like their stars get elevated a little bit, but I don't know how much that matters. I was trying to pull up our if-then stuff, and I think they're still working on it. But, looks like maybe we got it now. We'll talk about it in a second. I'll throw it to you, Bobby, and we'll see if there's anything worth noting in the if-then. But what do you have as far as, what is your slate overview?
I actually really like this. It's like a kind of a hybrid slate. It's like a hybrid sprint slate. I am anticipating value. I do think Larry Nance probably gets knocked down a little bit, but you made a good case for Nance. Like he's 3K and he's power forward, center eligible. Like that could just work out, but we could end up getting other value. The Ja Morant news is huge. Obviously, Scottie Pippen Jr. would step in, and he's been playing pretty fantastic. So I wouldn't mind him as a piece. I think a big decision is like who I'm playing between Luka and Jokic. Luka's in a phenomenal matchup versus Utah. Like second worst in the league last year, DVOA wise, versus the guard position. So he's great. And then Jokic gets Podol. I'm just trying to and Raptors, like they have no inside defense. So for me, it's like trying to figure out which one of these two I'm going to get to. Currently, without the news, I'm getting to Jason Tatum the most as like a stud to spend up. But I think that'll ultimately change. And Luka and Jokic will probably be the 2 guys that I'm trying to get on a good majority of my teams tonight.
Yeah, I love both those guys. Just a salary concern. But yeah, Joker, Luka both look spectacular. We have a rematch of the game that happened on, I think it was Saturday. The Rockets taking on the Spurs. Şengün was awesome last year versus Wemby. This last, first to the start of the year against them stunk and was benched. I don't know if you watched that game. I don't know if that's going to repeat itself. Wemby, of course, is still developing as a player. He put on some weight. We've seen this sometimes with Şengün, like 3, 4, 5 times a year, where he just gets benched in the fourth quarter. Sometimes it's because the second unit is playing well. A little bit concerned, but I think it also makes him for a really interesting tournament play. Maybe let's see how he bounces back. I was watching that game, and you could sort of see like body language. He was frustrated that he wasn't out there, but he was also cheering his team on. The jaw thing, by the way, Desmond Bane is the one that's really going to pop if Morant doesn't go. He would get projected for the only thing with Memphis is they play a ton of dudes as well. They're kind of like a Golden State. They're playing like 11 guys, 12 guys. They just signed this Jay Huff character. They just gave him a 4-year deal who started off the season pretty well. He's not young. He's like 26 or so. He's the guy that was taking minutes away from Edey, taking minutes away from Clark. I don't know if he's any good or not, but I guess he's in the rotation right now. Triple J, of course, is back and healthy, but they're still kind of working him back in as far as his minutes. We're projecting just 24. Ja's minutes have been, kind of slowly working up, but they haven't been good. Of course, the matchup against Chicago is excellent. Scottie Pippen will become a really, really good play, though. If Ja doesn't go, we would project him for about 30 DK and 30 FanDuel. He would look pretty sharp. Atlanta still has Hunter questionable. Trey Young would look awesome. He already does. He's another big span that looks spectacular against Washington. By the way, it's small sample stuff. Do you guys know who the worst offense so far this year is in basketball? I'm sort of framing the question where it's not somebody you would expect. Who's been the worst offensive rated team on the season?
Well, you just kind of tricked me because I was going to say Utah, but
then the second worst.
Okay, so it was close. I don't know.
Denver's been the worst offense by almost 4 points. Right. Denver, Utah, Chicago, Washington, Toronto, and yeah, it's not great. And again, it's small sample, so it's
not gonna finish that way, at least for Denver. It probably finish that way for Utah. So
yeah, I was going through some small sample things, and again, like you said, you don't want to freak out, but you want to try to get ahead of some trends as well, and that can kind of lead us to the very first game. Indiana taking on Orlando, 223.5 is the total. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and drop the first clue for Movie Monday. As always, boys, feel free to play the game at home. Play it in the private chat. But if you know the answer, you can't just go blurting it out and spoiling it for everybody. The first clue is transportation. So tell me what movie we're talking about. And transportation is the first clue.
Transporter.
Oh, Bobby, you just ruined the game.
That isn't really it.
And what if it was, though?
I'll never get it. Your clues are terrible. I'll never get it on the first guess.
Let me know in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. The first person.
I know what it is. I know what it is. All right.
You got it? Tell me in the private chat. That's a good guess, but it's not. That is a good guess, though, Bobby. That was pretty sharp. Okay. 223.5 is the total. Indiana at Orlando, 114.5 team total for Orlando. They're 5-point favorites versus the Pacers. Pacers playing a little bit slower this year, small sample. But speaking of small samples, I tweeted this out. I can't believe how bad Halliburton has been this season. He's playing actually a little bit more minutes than he was playing last year. But, last year he averaged 20 points, 11 assists. This year he's averaging less than 4 assists, barely 12 points. And the potential assists, last year almost 18, this year not, basically cut in half. Also, terrible matchup against Orlando. Also, back-to-back for Indiana. This feels like the worst spot. I don't think Halliburton's as bad, but there's just no chance I play him tonight. Also, he's in the first game of the night, the only game at 7 o'clock. Tim, are you in agreement here? A little bit concerned, but I think he'll snap out of it. But there's no way I'm playing Halliburton. Even the Pacers as a whole. I'm out in Indiana.
I just ran some sims, 150 teams, turned up the randomness. I'm checking out my team's exposure. I got to 10% of Indiana Pacers players, but not a ton of Halliburton, a little bit of Siakam, a little bit of Turner, but that's really about it. But if I was making 20 teams, I wouldn't have any Indiana. This would only be for like 150 max setting. Definitely like no chance I'm playing any of them in single entry. Certainly not in cash games. So yeah, like for the most part, I completely agree with you, Dean. I would not have any Pacers tonight.
Bobby, I don't know how many teams you're making tonight. How much Pacers are you getting, if any? And feel free to talk about Orlando. It is a little tricky because you don't know about Wagner, the important Wagner. That's Franz Wagner, currently ill. He is questionable. If he doesn't go, a little bit of stuff might open up. But your thoughts as far as this game as a whole?
If he doesn't go, I think Banchero becomes a very strong play. It's a 3.5% usage bump. He averaged 45 DK points in games where Franz Wagner sat last season. I would like getting to some Banchero a good bit. Obviously, we have these 7:30 games. Value could open up, but I think I'd be over the field to Banchero, or I'm going to get killed for my pronunciation in chat. Jalen Suggs looks good. Don't mind him. He's been playing pretty well too. So 5,400 ain't a bad price tag. Wendell Carter at 5,500. I think those are like the only three Magic I would have interest in. And on the Indy side, I think the reason Halliburton, I think, is playing less on the ball. Like, I think he's playing off the ball a little bit more. I have no interest in Siakam, Halliburton. Like the only pieces that would make sense would be Nembhard at 4,600, Isaiah Jackson at 3,500, and maybe some TJ McConnell at 4,400. But I don't want to get pigeonholed into these guys versus the Orlando Magic, right? So they're mainly going to be X's for me. It would just be the Magic side in tournaments.
It is worth noting really a couple of the bigs there for Orlando don't really matter individually, but collectively, Isaac is questionable. Gogi Watase also questionable. So they could be thin inside, and maybe a guy, maybe a Carter or somebody that can jump up and play 32 minutes or so in case of emergency, that kind of thing. We currently have projected for 28. Tim, what do you have as far as Orlando? I do agree. Like Banchero can be is the guy that probably pops. He's already fine. It's just a salary thing. I was trying to think like of a cheapie that might become interesting, and I don't think Black might get some more run or Harris might get some more run, but I don't think either one of those guys would really all of a sudden hit my lineups if we lose Franz Wagner. Tim, Orlando?
Yeah, I mean, it would just be Banchero for me if we lose Wagner, but it's really just I kind of want to play Suggs, but I don't want to like Bobby said, I don't want to pigeon my whole in that early game. So like I don't want to ruin my late swap abilities. So if this game was a 7:30 game, I'd have a lot more interest in Suggs. I would definitely get to a tiny bit of Suggs at MME, but I'm not playing him in single entry just because if we don't get news if we get all the news that we want to get, I might still consider Suggs, but if we don't, I'm not going to waste the roster spot on Orlando.
Thank you to Orlando for giving us the update that Franz Wagner, he's now a game time decision. So thanks for nothing, Orlando. You suck. Yeah, give us the update or don't tell him he's game time. It's worthless. They know it's an hour and a half till the game starts, give or take. Okay, let's move on. Probably spent too much time in that game anyway. That's the only 7:00 game. So if Wagner plays, I think you definitely can punt this game and just kind of buy yourself a half hour of news if you're still waiting on stuff like Ja or like things that might come out of nowhere. Detroit's at Miami, D-Wade night, 219.5 is the total. Miami is a pretty big favorite here. I think too big of a favorite. I kind of like the Detroit side. Maybe it's just me being an anti-Heat fan, but they kind of stink. And Detroit's not been as terrible as maybe we think they would be. As far as the injury report in this game, Detroit and Miami. Detroit, Oscar Thompson's still dealing with those blood clots. Kevin Love is still out. What's his name is available? Josh Richardson is available. I don't know if he's going to get any run or not, but he should be at least available to play for Miami. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. Bobby, what do you got as far as Detroit? Cunningham's been awesome this year. Of course, this matchup, not the best matchup on paper. Detroit and Miami. What do we have as far as the Heat and the Pistons for you?
Yeah, I still think I'll be over the field on Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. I know it's not the greatest matchup. They have played well. They've played well. They've correlated well together, so I don't mind those two. In terms of their price tag, Ivy at 6,400, Cade at 9,000. I would say that Tyler Harrow is probably my favorite Heat guy at 7K. I didn't play. I had him in my pool the other night and ended up coming off of him, and I really regret that. So I'm going to leave him in tonight versus Detroit. I think he's my favorite of the big three of Bam, Jimmy, and Hero for the Heat. So
it's so sad you call that the big three. That's a Heat fan.
Yeah, they're whatever you like to call it. Yeah, he would probably be my favorite. I think Tobias Harris at 6,100 has a pretty good price tag too, but I don't know how much I really want to get to him.
Yeah, not exactly shades of LeBron, Wade, and Bosch, but yeah, I guess that is the Miami big three.
Can you get to any Jovic, Bobby? At 44.
I wish I got to him on, was it Saturday night? Like when he went off, 4,400 I think is a good price tag for Jovic, but
I do too. I kind of like him.
I kind of like him too. He seems very talented. I watched a little bit of the game the other night. Yeah, he's fine, I guess, as a value piece. Are you getting him in the RG Sims?
Not really, no. But I just kind of like that price tag, and I kind of like this matchup for Miami. So, and if if this game were to blow out, I assume he'd get some extra minutes as well. So,
Why would you assume that?
I'm getting very little Miami in Sims. So they don't sim out well, but I thought that he'd be an interesting value play at very low. I think he's gonna be right around 5% owned.
I don't think he plays blowout minutes. I don't know why you think he would. He starts.
What's that?
You think Jovic would play blowout minutes for Miami?
So, I mean, were you assuming Richardson plays? We have projected for 12 minutes. They say he's available, but I'm not completely convinced that he plays.
I'm not sure either way, but I think they would, if the game does happen to blow out, I think they would get Richardson some run just to get him some run. But I just don't. Jovic doesn't close typically for Miami, and he's probably not going to play blowout minutes either way. But he's not a bad player. He's fine, but that's do not count on him in the fourth quarter, I guess is what I would say as a general rule of thumb. But Miami also does like weird things with their rotations, and they're one of the more unpredictable rotations too. So, it's certainly possible he closes, but I do not anticipate it, is what I would say. Cunningham's been awesome. I would just say that. Bam is shooting his threes. They said he's going to shoot some threes. Now, they didn't say he was going to make them. He hasn't made any yet, but he's shooting them, which is nice to see. I think he's like 0 for 4 or 0 for 5. At least one of them was an air ball.
They'll pull the plug on that eventually.
I hope not. I hope not. Let him. But allegedly hits him in practice. It's like Shaq's free throws. Like supposedly.
Ben Simmons hits them in practice too.
Yeah, I mean, keep shooting them. And the ones he takes are wide open. Like he's not taking contested threes. He's taking wide open threes because they're basically giving it to him. 0 for 4. He's taken 2 so far. But it's, if he misses it, there's no knock, right? You don't lose any points on it. So a little bit of added value, I think, to Bam. If and when he's going to make a 3 tonight. How about that? There's a bold call. I don't have bold.
You should bet it. Just bet it.
I was going to bet it opening night, but I don't think it was either not on the board. I didn't like the odds. And thankfully, I did not because he did not. Okay, let's move on. Next game is Washington, Atlanta. This game looks spectacular. 234 is the total. Atlanta, 7-point favor. It's high, and it's fairly tight. It is fairly tight. Atlanta, they are dinged. Bogdanovich, of course, is out. We don't know about who's the guy that's questionable. We know Okongwu's out. We know that, who else is on the injury report? Hunter. Hunter is also questionable as well. Washington is pretty healthy for what it's worth. Are they playing the back half of back-to-back? No, they're not. They're neither back half or front. Okay, it's Atlanta that's in the back half of a back-to-back. The big deal here, I think, is Capella. Capella's got a chance to shine here in the absence of Okongwu. We think Nance is going to play some minutes behind him at the 5. They have another big that I don't think he's gotten any run at all this year. Mohamed Gui? I don't know how to pronounce that. My apologies. Dyson Daniels is pretty good. Been pretty good so far as a salary saver. And again, if you have the salary, Trae Young has been really, really awesome so far this year. The other thing I was thinking about, Tim, and you're talking about Nance, is that, Washington, strangely, maybe not strangely, they've not been starting Valanciunas, which I thought he would start this season, in the starting lineup. At some point, maybe they trade him or we go away to the bench, or who knows. And then, so when Valanciunas comes in, it's going to be Valanciunas versus Nance. Seems a little odd, And I don't think they're just going to start Valanciunas to start Capella. I don't think that's what they're going to do. Have Valanciunas match up with Capella. Interesting matchups. I don't really know how that's going to go down. But, touch on Atlanta and Washington. I think one of the better games this evening.
Yeah, Atlanta is the team I'm getting the most of in the Sims I ran, by a ton. I'm getting to so many Atlanta players. Trae Young is my highest owned player in the Sims that I ran. Absolutely love him. Tonight, Washington, I think they're already the worst defense, right? In in the entire league, and they're probably gonna end that way. They're just an absolute fantasy gold mine to stream against. So absolutely love Trae Young. I mean, Jalen Johnson. I think he's a spectacular play, and then obviously Clint Capella, fantastic play as well. Only 5,400. I mean, he could go for, we haven't projected for 24 minutes. Even if he only plays 24 minutes, he could easily get well over 35 fantasy points. So I'm really not worried too much about the minutes. And if he gets more than that, he's going to absolutely crush. So if he randomly gets up to 28 or so, he's going to be an absolute smash play. So absolutely do not mind him at all. And then some really, really solid run backs. For Washington, at least. Koulibaly is a really, really cheap option at 4,900. I think he's in a really, really great spot. I also think Jordan Poole is somewhat interesting. I think he might be, obviously he's a very frustrating roster at times, but he does have a ceiling. And I don't think a lot of people are going to play him. We haven't projected for 17%. That's not horrible. I think he's in a pretty decent spot, so I wouldn't mind running it back with a Koulibaly for value or Jordan Poole. Somebody's a little bit more expensive. And then I do want to touch on Dyson Daniels real quick. I think there's the news. Hunter is out.
Okay, that solidifies Daniels.
Yeah, and is it? Risachet, is that his name? Zachary Risachet.
Yeah, he did start last game. He might start again.
Yeah, he's going to start again. I assume he's going to become a pretty strong value at 4,200. So that's really going to make him one of the more premium value plays, I would assume. So this game just got even cheaper, really. Mm-hmm. So it's even easier to play now. So yeah, but it's a fantastic game.
If you're doing a game stack, like you said, Daniels is cheap, Risachet is cheap, Capella is cheap, Nance is cheap. You want to go that route. You're paying up for Trae. That's the one big pay up. Johnson's kind of a little bit mid to upper tier. This feels like an awesome spot. Kind of bounce back. He was spectacular to start the season last year. Kind of tailed off a little bit, but this matchup here is great. How much Hawks is too much Hawks? And like a little game stack. Can we do 3-2 Atlanta? Three Atlanta, 2 Washington. It's a huge slate. But I think we can do that. Can we do that, Tim? I'm trying to think out loud on this.
Can you do a 3-2? That might be for me. My first instinct is to say go 2-2. I think 3-2 might be a little bit much, but this makes this game a little bit different with Risachet now. So maybe you can go 3-2. I don't know. I would prefer if people went 2-2.
Like Young, Daniels, Capella, Koulibaly, like one of Poole or Kuzma.
I'll tell you one thing. If I was to make a rule, I'd go for this slate. If I was MMEing, I'd make a min 2 from this game in every lineup.
Well, Bobby, this is where you step in because this is your turf. What are we doing with the Hawks?
I'm not going to make that rule, but I would imagine that I'm going to get a ton of Hawks just with Larry Nance at 3K, power forward center eligibility. Clint Capella, I think we have him at 24 minutes. I could see him playing 28 to 30, maybe even 30 plus. So I think he's a very strong play. Now Hunter's out. So Dyson Daniels, Tim talked about him as a value, and also Risachet. they're going to get bumped up. Well, yeah, you should definitely be targeting this game. Like I would imagine a lot of people are going to be targeting this game. I'm not as bullish on Trae Young. Like he's just one of those guys where it's very he's just a tough roster for me, and I think he's probably not really a superstar, but gets like the superstar treatment. He just shoots a ton.
Well, he doesn't help you win. If that's what you're getting at,
He doesn't help you win. Yeah, he's definitely
like
not
the game of basketball.
You want to build your team around from a basketball standpoint. So, yeah, I the other night he got 71, and I didn't love that. This is a really good spot again. I'm currently just at the field on Trae Young. I do like the Jordan Poole resurgence, I guess you could call it. 7,300 for Poole. I think that's a pretty good price tag. Like I want to be over that. Same thing with Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going currently. I think there are a lot better options than Trae on the slate. Up top.
31% usage in the season. Yeah, he's going to cost you. I think he's going to be pretty popular as well amongst the big spends. Probably one of the more popular big spends. And yeah, AD in chat makes the point. The number 1 pick versus the number 2 pick, I'm like, nobody cares because I don't think anybody cared about this last draft. But yeah, it's not quite like Washington versus Chicago yesterday in the NFL as far as the quarterbacks, and probably won't have the same finish. Your favorite play on Washington, Bobby, is who?
It is Koulibaly for the value. Like he's pretty much filling up the stat sheet right now. So I think he would be the guy that I'd have the most interest in currently. But I think Poole and Kuzma are also 2 guys that I want to get to a good bit. If I had to rank the Atlanta guys, it would be Nance, Daniels, Capella, but I'm going to be overweight on literally all of them. And then Reese O'Shea would be in there as well, coming in as the 4th guy. But now at 4,400, that could possibly change, and he might move up the list. They're all good pieces, good cheap pieces.
They want Koulibaly to shoot a little bit more. He had 9 attempted threes last game. That's certainly good to see. 0 in the first game against Boston, but 9. Yeah, you want to see him shooting away, obviously. Second clue for Movie Monday. We did have a second clue. We're going to go ahead and drop it. Let me know what movie we're talking about. I see there's movies being thrown out here in chat. Sudden Increase is the second clue. Peterman says Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's not that, but that is a classic for sure. It's definitely not Money Plane Dunce, which is a hilarious guess. Double M Squared guessing Apollo 13. It is not Apollo 13. It's not Airplane, which is another really good.
Can I have another guess? Can I have another guess?
Okay. Yeah. Well, by the way, somebody guessed your guess, Speed. And so great minds. It's not Speed, but that was a good attempt. There you get on the bus. It's not Get on the Bus either. Another good guess considering.
Can I throw out my guess?
You should probably put it in the chat just in case. I don't really want you to bake it and ruin it. You're probably not going to guess it. You might, but just in case. That is a good guess. It is not that, but that is a spectacular guess. I'm sure somebody is going to guess that in a second momentarily. All right, let's move on. First half of the NBA TV doubleheader. We have the World Series, we have Monday Night Football, and we have basketball. Milwaukee, Boston, 232 is the total. Milwaukee is playing in the back half of back-to-back, and they are traveling, which is why, in part, they're 9-point dogs also because the Celtics are really, really good at basketball. 9-point favorites here. Some studs here for sure. As far as injuries, who's in and who's out. One for Boston is, who's the guy that's Sam Hauser's questionable, right? That's the one we're kind of monitoring.
He's out.
A ton. Oh, is he officially out? That just happened, or did I miss the update?
It happened 2 seconds ago.
Okay, good. All right. So I don't like to be not on top of something.
Or maybe 2 minutes ago, depending on when
Giannis is officially probable. So again, I thought there might be something goofy here. Maybe. I guess it's not going to happen. Bobby, your Celtics, they're basically fully healthy with the exception of Hauser taking on Milwaukee. You know who you want, and if you're playing Milwaukee, it's just a salary thing. I'm going to have a hard time getting to some of these pieces. Should I go out of my way to spend up on some of the studs here?
Tatum's been so good, man. It's tough to get away from Tatum for me. He's at 9.7. think he offers a really good ceiling, especially if Giannis plays. Game should be tight. I want to be overweight to Tatum a good bit. Giannis, on the other hand, I have very little interest in, and I'm sure the field does too, showing under 10% ownership for Giannis. I can't play. He's with Trae Young for me. Like obviously he's better than Trae Young, but he's not a guy I like to roster a 10.
Is it the back-to-back in travel and kind of a tough matchup? Is that what's sort of discouraging you?
Yeah, that would be the main reason. And also, like, Jokic and Doncic have two fantastic matchups on this slate.
Yeah.
So they're guys that I really want to allocate exposure to. You could always make a case for guys on Boston like Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Jaylen Brown. I think because the game's going to be tight, they're fine to kind of get in your pool. But that's really it. No Dame Lillard. Well, yeah, I have no like real interest in. It's pretty much just Giannis on the Milwaukee side.
Yeah, our projections have not adjusted for 18 minutes of Sam Hauser to get delegated somewhere. Maybe Pritchard gets a couple extra. I don't know if anybody's really going to jump up. Like Walsh might get a few more minutes, not going to matter. Maybe Tillman gets an extra minute or two, probably not going to matter. Tim, what are we doing with Milwaukee and Boston? It's the old, like, maybe better to watch than to actually get some shares of, but, you know, I'm never going to besmirch. I'm not going to talk anybody out of getting Tatum. Of course not. He's been spectacular. He is spectacular. Your thoughts as far as Milwaukee and the Celtics?
Yeah, I really don't have any interest in Milwaukee. Pretty tough matchup. They're not cheap either. Like, obviously, I love Giannis, but 11-5 in Boston as an an 8-point road dog. Like, I'm kind of all set on that. I don't want to get to any Lillard, so I think I'd pass. So really, no Milwaukee for me. I don't hate Tatum. I think there are better plays in that 10-4 range, but if he's really going to be 2%. They have a pretty high, implied team total. So, I mean, at that low of ownership for Tatum, I think it's decent. I think it's okay. I'm always a big Derek White fan, so I don't mind him. And then Drew Holiday, at least on FanDuel, he's 5,800. I gotta reload something on DK real quick, but he's relatively playable on FanDuel.
Revenge game.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's a pretty fair price. I usually he doesn't have like big ceiling games. So it's probably a price that, like, if nothing else, like for cash games, you can use them. Probably doesn't hurt you. I don't mind that call at all. But we shall move on. Cleveland, New York, 222.5 is a total. High, pretty high, definitely tight. New York is a 2-point favorite here. We may get Josh Hart out. Last I saw, he is still questionable. I'm checking the injury report right now. Let's see if we got an update. I don't have the 5:30. Do I have the 5:30 update? I do not. But, last I saw, he's questionable with his ankle. Of course, Precious is out. McBride should be good to go with his knee. Cleveland, it's just, Max Strus is still out. Small sample stuff. Two of the best offenses so far in basketball this year. They are 2 and 3. And defensively, we know New York in part getting absolutely ravaged opening night there by Boston. Looks really bad. Their rebounding is not as good as it was last year. I think they're the top rebounding team. And you can kind of explain that way with Hartenstein. Randall also. Hart, a good rebounder, has been kind of dinged this year. So, this game looks much better than it would last year, I think. Especially if we lose Hart, we might get 40 minutes Brunson, 40 minutes Bridges, 40 minutes OG, 40 Cat. McBride would get some run as well, and we know New York does not go very deep. Mobley feels like he's taking a step this year as well. Little bit more pace to Cleveland's. I think they're middle of the road now. Again, this is small sample stuff, but yeah, they're 12th so far this season in pace. Of course, New York always playing slow. They've been the slowest team this year as well. Bobby, this is one of my favorite games as well. Cleveland and New York, which is not, again, something I said last year, but especially with New York being squeezed, and if we get Hart out, then I'm really excited on the New York side. Where are you as far as Cleveland and New York?
Yeah, I need the Hart. I need Hart being out. I think that in that scenario, I'd want to get a good bit of Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby. But I need the Hart news. I'm kind of under on these New York guys currently just because of the matchup. It's a tough matchup for Brunson. It's a tough matchup inside for Towns. Not really strongly on New York currently until I know that Hart is completely out of the situation. So not many New York guys. Not in on Donovan Mitchell today on the Cleveland side at 8,700. I do like Evan Mobley a little bit. Just seems like his usage has gone up and he's doing a lot more this year on the offensive end. So I think Mobley would be my favorite play on the Cleveland side if I was going to choose anyone.
I'm pretty sure it's my favorite as well on Cleveland. Tim, what do you think as far as New York and Cleveland?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in Cleveland. Obviously, this Hart news is really big because I have to reallocate 36 projected minutes for him. So that could be huge for some of these guys. Really, the only one that I like at all is Miles McBride, just as a value piece. He's point guard, shooting guard. I don't really. There's so many better like pace games on the slate, so I don't really love this game that much.
So we have McBride projected for 35 minutes if Hart doesn't go, which would make him just I don't want to say lock button because one thing with McBride is like if he's not making his shots, you're kind of dead. He's got to put points in the bucket, but he certainly can. He's a shooter. He can put 20, 25 in there. It wouldn't be very shocking, but I
don't mean to backtrack here, but I was looking at the Celtics again real quick, and like Peyton Pritchard's, we have him projected for like 15% ownership, and he's the exact same position eligibility as McBride, and McBride is, I think, far and away the better play, even if Hart plays. So I don't know what you guys think about that. Like, I'd much rather play McBride.
Yeah. Let's see. Have we adjusted our minutes? Did we kick out Hauser? Yeah, we're giving 24 to Pritchard. You probably got a couple extra. I feel a little better about Pritchard if Hart is in. If we're comparing Pritchard versus McBride, but I'm not going to argue about it.
Right.
And they're both really scoring dependent. It's like who's going to make their shots is basically what we're asking. You have a lean on that, Bobby?
I think you made the best case. Like if Hart's in, I'd probably prefer Pritchard, and then if Hart is out, I'd prefer McBride.
Yeah, hitting up Twitter, seeing if any news is dropping. But last we saw, the last news to drop for us is the Hauser news. I got the 5:30 NBA injury report, and nothing has changed here as far as New York. It is still questionable for Hart. McBride officially probable with a knee. Precious still out, obviously. The only one that really matters for Cleveland is Strus, who's going to be out for a bit. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Before we do that, did anybody get our movie? Let's see. The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 is not that. It's not Back to the Future. Of course, Bobby. Yeah, somebody did guess Snakes on a Plane, like you guessed. It's not Snakes on a Plane.
I know you're a big Snakes on a Plane guy. That's why I went with Snakes on a Plane. I know that's one of your favorites.
That's one of Dean's favorites, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it from like the one I've seen it like many, many years ago, but it's a completely forgettable movie. Obviously, it has certainly some couple quotable lines, but it is completely absurd. And I have not seen it in probably 15, 20 years or so. I don't know when it came out. But let's go ahead and drop the third clue. Maybe this changes things. If you're just joining us, week free. You get a week free of RG Premium because it's Movie Monday. Tell me what movie I'm talking about. You have one guess per clue drop. Go ahead and answer in the Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord in the live stream chat channel. Tell me what movie we're talking about. RJ Barrett is in, by the way. Just got that for Toronto. So that's interesting. Probably limited.
He was projected in.
Yeah, I know, but I thought there was a chance he wouldn't play. I thought it was like a 50-50 call. What is our
we have projected for 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to get to that game in just a second. The third clue is non-actor. So maybe that changes maybe that changes some things. Maybe someone will get what movie we are talking about in the Discord channel. Okay. Next movie up is, well, there it is. It's Denver and Toronto. Toronto is a 9-point dog here. Denver, man, Jamal Murray, not great. This is is he from Toronto? I know he's Canadian. Is he from Toronto officially? TJ's coming on later. He'll confirm or deny. I think so. Or the Google machine if you have time for that. But Barrett being in does ruin some of the quote-unquote value play that might have happened for Toronto. Denver, we talked about. They've not been good this year, but this certainly feels like a good get-right spot, whatever you want to call it, because Toronto, we're not expecting them to be a very good ball club this year. Tim, well, the Joker is awesome. Porter's got a pretty good price. And Jamal Murray hasn't been good this year, but they are tempting us because the price has been dropped. He's kind of on sale. It's on the clearance rack, and it's a good matchup, and he's in Canada, but he's like 40% owned. 40% owned, Jamal Murray. How do we feel about it? Did you watch him in the Olympics? It wasn't good.
I did actually. I did watch him a little bit in the Olympics. Yeah, it was not good. Yeah, this is a tough one for me because I'm definitely playing him in cash games. I don't know if he's a really good GPP play, though, just because of that ownership. Pretty big slate. I don't know if we need to be playing a 43% owned player that we're a little bit hesitant about in like a large field MME setting. So I have to decide if I'm going to be playing him in my single entry, my primary single entry team. It's pretty close for me because like if you think about it, like in those like $100 or $200 single entries, if he's going to be 43% projected owned in the $15, he's going to be like 65% projected owned in those higher dollar single entry GPPs. So it's kind of a tough one for me. I'm leaning that I'm going to play him, but I certainly would not fault anybody if they wanted to fade him because that ownership is really inflated. But there's also other pieces of Denver that I like. Joker, obviously, you can play anytime you want. MPJ, I think, is a pretty nice play in GPP, around 15% projected owned. Christian Braun, again, like 4,700 projected for around 30 minutes. I think he's a decent value play as well. So if you don't want to play Murray, that doesn't mean I would just fade Denver completely. I would definitely get to like one of these pieces for Denver because it is a really fantastic spot for them.
I think I'm leaning toward not playing Murray, and I reserve the right to change my mind. But like if he's going to be 55% and I'm talking like single entry, 3-entry max contest. I'm not talking about cash. I'm playing him in cash, almost definitely. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be out on Murray. You tell me, Bobby, what are we doing with Denver and Toronto? You already hyped up Joker several times. We're looking at the ownership. Of course, we don't know about the salary cap, but Joker right now, 17%, Murray, 43% DK. This stuff will change as more news comes in. But, yeah, I understand why you want to get the Joker.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Jokic over Doncic for me on DK as the top spend tonight. 11-1. Toronto has no interior defense, so this should be a really good get-right spot for Denver. It's showing in the projections. The Jamal Murray situation, I think I'll be slightly over the field. I think Michael Porter Jr. at 5,800 might be my second favorite play from Denver, just because like he can shoot it from three, and then with the interior defense being so lacking for Toronto, he could also get the ancillary rebounds. I just think there's a pretty big ceiling for Michael Porter Jr. at that $5,800 price tag. Tim mentioned Christian Braun as a value play at 4,700. I think he's fine. Not much on the Toronto side for me. I guess RJ Barrett being ruled in. I think he would be the only one from Toronto that I'd be willing to play. I'm not playing Podol. He's could be in foul trouble pretty early with Jokic, and Scotty Barnes going to be very low owned. Like if you want to take a shot on Barnes and want to run it back with someone, I think you could. He's 9,100. That would be the issue for me. It would just be easier to run it back with Barrett at 6,800 if I wanted to run it back with anyone from Toronto.
I'm kind of with our projection team. They're not giving Barrett full minutes. They're giving him 30, and the tag is kind of like a full asking price. And like it's a trickle down effect where he kind of like he eats off everybody else enough where Toronto as a whole is just not very appealing. And I don't really want to get the Bear either if he only plays 30 minutes. 34, 35, 36, sure, maybe we'll have the conversation, but you're asking for 6-8 for 30 minutes? I can't get there. I can't justify that. So I don't really like the Toronto side is the long story short. If you want to play Barnes as a run back in tournament, sure, I guess, but it's more the scenic route than the direct route to fantasy points. Okay, let's move on. We have, 5 games to go on FanDuel, 3 games to go on DK, about 25, 30 minutes or so. We got TJ Zwarych coming in, as well as Kevin Roth. Who else is coming? Kirkwood, Kirkdiese. There you go. Juggalo Nation will be in effect in about 25 minutes or so. I don't think anybody has guessed our nobody's guessed our movie clue just yet. The people are rusty, is what it is. That's what's going on. They haven't played Movie Monday in a while. Certainly, this
that's
has been
not what it is.
before.
That's not what it
They're
is.
rusty. Yeah. What else could it possibly be? I can't think of any other.
Know what it is. Me and Tim know what it is. Your clues are too difficult. Your clues are way too difficult. That's really
you
what
want to put it on easy level. You want the easy mode to be on. I could
Easy
just
mode,
Can you at least put it on medium, not like expert, not expert, Dean?
Well, there are still 2 more clues to drop. Let's just go ahead and drop the 4th clue. So far, transportation, sudden increase, non-actor. I thought non-actor might do it. Clue number 4 is acquire. Peterman's guessing the Aviator. It is not Cars. Being John Malkovich. That's a weird movie. It is not Being John Malkovich, but I see what you're doing there. Inside Man, a spectacular movie. It is not Inside Man. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. We're talking about the Bulls and the Grizz. 233 is the total. That's the end of the 7:30 games, by the way. Start at the 8 o'clock games, 8 o'clock window. Chicago at Memphis. 233 is the total. Memphis is a 7-point favorite. Memphis is a little bit annoying right now because we don't know as far as their injury report. Ja is officially questionable. He's got that, they're giving him a thigh, I believe. John Conchar is questionable as well. Lonzo available for Chicago. Everybody else in Memphis, nothing new there. Vince Williams still out. Of course, Nardog is out. Gigi Jackson is out. They've been running some really deep rotations. Chicago, by the way, again, small sample stuff. They've been flying. As far as pace this year, these are the 2 fastest teams in basketball. 3 games each. Grain of salt. 2 fastest teams. Chicago is at 110 as far as pace, and number 2 is Memphis 105. Chicago well ahead of everybody else. I like the over in this game. 233 is a big number, but it feels like this game's going to have a lot of points. Bobby, your thoughts as far as Chicago and Memphis?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to the Ja Morant news. In that case, Scottie Pippen Jr. at 5,200 would be a really good play. Also, Desmond Bane would see the biggest usage increase at 7,600. Those would be the 2 main Memphis guys I'd have interest in. And you say this about the pace, and I just don't really love the Chicago side. Like maybe some Vucevic. Giddey, I think, kind of fits that game type the most on Chicago. I'll be under on Levine. I don't know, just not much for me until I get the Morant news. And then it's like full go on Scottie Pippen Jr. And Desmond Bane, I think, become extremely, extremely good plays.
The thing with Giddey is they're not giving him 30 minutes. They're giving him like 26 minutes, and he needs those extra 4 or 5 minutes. I like him too, in theory, but that next 5 minutes is crucial. By the way, not the big news for Orlando, but 2 of the bigs are out. Gogo Ataze was questionable. He's got a foot, so he can't play. And Jonathan Isaac has a hip, so he's not playing basketball tonight. So 2 of the bigs have been ruled out. I mean, those guys don't typically get a ton of run. Isaac more than Bataze, but just worth noting. And we're still waiting for one of the brothers Wagner, the Franz Wagner, who's currently questionable. Tim, what do you got as far as the Grizz and the Bulls?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously have to wait on news for the Grizzlies. They play a super deep rotation. So if we lose Morant, we can get to Bane and Pippen. I love Zach LaVine tonight. I've been playing him all year. I bet his over point props this evening. It's 20.5 on DK. I bet that already. I really like that he's shooting guard, small forward eligible. So I think that this Bulls pace, I mean, they were playing fast in the preseason as well. I think this pace for the Bulls is real. So I really like getting to Chicago in the spot. My favorite play is easily Zach LaVine. I don't mind Vucevic. I think he's a decently contrarian center option that could end up kind of, dominating this Grizzlies team. So I don't mind Vucevic, but by far my favorite Chicago player is LaVine.
I was just trying to think like if he can play Ja, but if he's not going to play 30 minutes, then he might. I think we're projecting for 28, but the minutes have been kind of babied. Like imagine Ja playing real minutes against the Chicago team, just flying and healthy. And I think he's healthy. I don't know. I think he's healthy.
I was wondering about that. Like, what's the deal going on with him? Like, is he really that hurt, or are they just ramping him back up?
I don't know. They're definitely ramping him back up, but I don't know if the injury stuff. I'm not sure. You never really know with this stuff. And Memphis has been one of those weirder teams. Like they just throw everybody on the injury report sometimes.
You're right.
And they've also had a lot of injuries too, to be fair. But so 28 to start the season, then 24-24. But also the last two games have been kind of blowouts. So I think he plays, if he's playing, 28 to 30, 28 to 30 over Chicago. It's just they're charging full price. But the matchup, does that make up the difference? It's just the slate is so big. I'm conflicted, but if he somehow got 33 or so, just wheels up. Interesting play. I don't think I'm going to click it, and of course, if he doesn't go, we talked about Pippen, we talked about Bane. We shall move on. Let's see. We got Houston, the rematch of the game on Saturday. 218.5 is the total. The Rockets at the Spurs. Battle of Texas. We talked about it earlier. Şengün, who really crushed Wemby last year. Fully, he got benched. Didn't play the fourth quarter. Spurs, I'm assuming they held on. I watched so much basketball. I think they held on and won this game pretty easily. They're up by 20 at some point. Houston did make a run. But, here's some more big spends. If you need some more big spends in the slate, Wembanyama. Of course, we have Şengün. If you want to go back there, it's certainly a contrarian play. Earlier in the day, I know Castle was hitting some stuff just because he's cheap. I didn't feel very good about that. Bobby, your thoughts as far as the Spurs and the Rockets?
Yeah, 1 second. I'm just clicking through the rerun stuff. Jeremy Sochan, I think he's just 5,600. He's really kind of improving within the Spurs offense. He had a good game last two games. So Sochan's someone I don't mind. Wemby, I think I can be overweight. I'm worried about they ramped him up to 30 minutes last game. He obviously has that ceiling. But I think I'm just going to be around the field or slightly over on Wemby. Van Fleet, Chris Paul, and Barnes are the only other plays that I really have much interest in. I don't have a ton of interest in this game outside of Sochan, Wemby, and possibly Van Fleet. Maybe
we're still showing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was saying we're still showing some ownership for Harry Barnes and some for Castle, just because they're cheap. They're in the mid fours. Sohan getting 13-14%. Champagne is not great, but he's 5%. Just these cheap Spurs that you don't feel awesome about. Basically, no ownership. I don't say no, but single digit ownership for Wemby. When you're prioritizing the studs, he's probably not the first guy people are going to play. But sure, of course, especially on FanDuel where you really can get loose from a blocks perspective. Tim, how do we feel about Houston, San Antonio? I don't really like this game. I'm power ranking all 10 games. This is probably in the bottom 3 for me.
I would agree with that. I don't like. We're showing Castle and Barnes as decent points per dollar plays, but really, I don't even really want to click either one of their names. I think Sohan is pretty interesting at 5,600. I think he's a decent value. Don't mind clicking that in GPP or even cash games. But other than that, I mean, Wemby let everybody down as pretty chalky a couple nights ago. I think if he's really going to be 4% and you wanted to get 8%, I think that's a pretty solid play. I wouldn't go nuts with him, but getting overweight on a guy that could easily go for over 70 fantasy points. I do like that. So I wouldn't mind getting overweight on Wemby. I think he's always viable, especially at this super low ownership.
It's funny to say let everybody down, and I'm not saying you're wrong per se, but he scored 29 points. It's just funny to to say.
He only had 44 DraftKings points. So.
I understand. It's just a funny sentence. Like, what do you want the guy? He only had 3 stocks, right? And one of the reasons, and he didn't get a double. He only had 7 boards. But yeah,
I know because my team was really, really great that night, except for him. So
where did you you run like one team in the single entry stuff? Where'd you end up finishing? I know we talked about this.
I was like 3rd in everything.
Ooh, look at you! And if you would have picked right, I don't know.
Well, I had nobody else to pick, but if when we got say like 55, I would have gotten first and everything.
Ooh, you've been on fire, Tim. Crushing NBA. I know in hockey you've been crushing as well in the 333. It's been a
ask me how football went yesterday.
Guessing it didn't go well.
Yeah.
Well, you can enjoy some winning. You can't win everything, I suppose. All right. AK Boy says Dean gives clues like a wife or a girlfriend.
I wanted to say that because that's like the line of the year in chat because that is 100% correct. I didn't know if I wanted to call you out that badly on it. Right. So
you can call me out. I don't mind being called out. Maybe these are bad clues. Maybe I'm rusty. Maybe it's possible. We'll see. I will just say this. We'll give the 5th clue here. We want to give away some premium. We'll give the 5th clue in a second, but don't take everything like so literally. Like don't be married to a clue. Sometimes, especially the first clue, doesn't necessarily mean something completely direct. Because I'm not going to give you the best clue in the world with the number 1 clue.
Do you sit around in your house like all day thinking about how to?
He does. I know he does.
Tim answered that question really quickly. You got cameras in here, Tim? How do you know this? The last clue. Giannis officially playing. Thank you, Don Easy. So the last clue is contest. Transportation number 1, sudden increase, non-actor, acquire, and contest. I promise you it's all going to make sense in the end. And you're going to be like, whoa, of course I should have known that. At least somebody's going to guess this. I'm checking out the live stream chat right now, and still nobody has it. The Dallas Buyers Club. It's not the Princess Bride. It's not Gran Turismo. We got a winner. See, look at that. We do have a winner. The clues are good. And that's the point, Bobby. We don't want to spoon feed any premium to one person. You got to earn it. And that's Big ZYW. We'll go ahead and tell you the answer to the movie. It's well, what are we doing? We're talking basketball for the very first time this year, right? So of course we have to do a basketball movie. Duh, right? Obviously. Transportation. You think of like a car, you think of a plane, you think of a train. Nobody thinks of a shuttle, but you can get around in a shuttle, right? You can take a shuttle to go someplace. Sudden increase, like a spike. So, a spike. A non-actor, it stars a non-actor, possibly a basketball player, possibly an NBA champion for the Miami Heat, who took one of the greatest three-pointers of all time, Ray Allen. Acquire, you get, got, past tense. Contest, what's another word for a contest? A game. Jesus Shuttleworth. We put it all together. It's he got game. So shout out to Big ZYW. See how it all makes sense, Tim? Did that all make sense now to you? You get it now? No, it was easy.
I wasn't listening. You're going to have to repeat all that.
I wasn't listening either.
I'm not repeating any of that. Not repeating any of what I just said. If either you're paying attention or you're not. Last game of the DK slate. It's the Utah Jazz taking on the Dallas Mavericks. 232 is the total. Utah is significant underdogs here. They are on the road. They're on the back half of a back-to-back. Utah does some goofy things sometimes, back half of a back-to-back, and they're mega dogs. They're 12-point dogs here. You've kind of hinted at it a couple times. So, Bobby, you love Luka. Of course, Luka should absolutely annihilate. He should absolutely smash this Utah Jazz team. Talk to me about the Mavs and the Jazz.
Yeah, Luka's going to be the one that I'm currently going to be a little bit under on Luka. I think it's not. I'm going to be at the field on Luka. It's more Joker that I have the most interest in from the big spends. I think I might even prefer Kyrie to Luka for his price tag at 7,500. There's a lot of good value, like Klay Thompson at 6K, I think is fine. Derek Lively at 5,100. I'm not really getting away from Clint Capella, but Derek Lively can make my pool at that price tag. PJ Washington at 5K, same thing. Those would be like my Mavs guys. In terms of Utah, we talked about it at the top of the show, worst offense in the league. So not getting to a ton of the Utah Jazz. Maybe Tim has more here in this game. Like I liked Luka when I originally opened up the slate, but then just seems to me like I'd rather play Jokic. I think Jokic is probably my favorite spend outside of Tatum. So yeah, that's where I'm kind of at.
Tim, what do you got as far as Utah? I did see somebody in chat actually mentioned this too. Little surprising. That's I'm giving a refresh here. Yeah, Sensabaugh is projected for 24 minutes. He's 3-2, small forward, power forward, eligible. 18 is his fantasy point projection, so nothing to get excited about. But he is hitting some stuff just because he's cheap and he kind of sort of makes stuff work. But there's a lot of fragility to that. Just kind of throwing it out there. It's one of those uncomfortable plays that, the floor is rough, but maybe that's somebody you get to kind of make things work. Tim, are we prioritizing Luka? Are we prioritizing Kyrie? We just hoping for a blowout and just avoiding this game altogether?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really close between Luka and Jokic. They're both projecting about the same. They're only $200 apart. So I'm a little bit more concerned, I think, for the blowout for Luka. But obviously, I mean, he could pay out this price tag in 3 quarters or 3.5 quarters. So I don't know how much I can really gauge by that. I don't know. I think that right now I'd prefer Jokic over Luka, but it's super close. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely get to one of them in cash games. You can only play one, but really, which one? I'm not really sure. So I mean, they're both so close.
Ruled out. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
No, go ahead. Who was ruled out?
I was just going to mention quickly. He was doubtful. Quickly officially ruled out. Franz Wagner officially in and starting. Orlando is Suggs, KCP, Franz Wagner, Banchero, and Wendell Carter. That is your starters for Orlando. What do you got, Tim? Finish your thoughts.
No, I was thinking I think Derek Lively is a decent play in this game. If this game had a closer spread, I'd have a lot of interest with Klay Thompson. I think he's going to be shooting a ton of threes in this offense. So I think he's going to have some ceiling games this year, despite having to share the floor with Kyrie and Luka. But if you think this game stays close somehow, I think Klay's a really, really interesting GPP play.
My one caution on Lively is if this game blows out, he doesn't start, right? And he's probably not going to mop up. So say he comes in, 4 minutes to go in the third or something like that, and they're up 25. Like he's not going to get a standard, fourth quarter run. So he's going to get cut short. Just a little bit. That's just something to think. I like Lively too.
Because I like Kessler too. I'm just worried that this game. There's a lot of players that I like in this game. I'm just really, really concerned about a blowout. That's why I'm kind of leaning Jokic, even though there's blowout concern in that game as well. So it's pretty close all the way around.
Tony in chat says he finishes. Yeah, if this game is close, he's going to finish, and it's not an issue,
right.
And you're going to get 25 minutes or so out of Lively. But if this game blows out, they're not going to have Lively mop up with all the nonsense out there. He's a key rotation player. So that's sort of my if you think this game's going to blow out, I don't think Lively's a really good play. If you think this game's going to stay close, you can run these two centers at each other if you want. You can play Kessler and Lively, 2 cheap ways to get access to this game. Bobby, anything else as far as this game, or shall we move on?
No, I do like the Klay Thompson call at 6K. I think I would prefer both Klay and Kyrie currently to Luka.
See several people in chat talking about Nance. I wonder if our minutes have changed for him. They did rule out. We're giving him 20 now for what it's worth. He was at 18. Now we've got 2 more because they ruled out Hunter. There's a couple sort of hedge minutes here for Mohamed Gui, who may get some run. We'll see. Capella getting 26. Daniel's 34, by the way. Feels like a pretty solid play. Trae Young, 36. think there's a chance he even gets a little bit more if this game does stay close. Do want to touch on the last two FanDuel games. These are FanDuel only, obviously. LA, Lakers at Phoenix, 228 is a total. Lakers are 5-point dogs here. Portland, Sacramento. Portland, huge dogs against Sacramento. Sacramento, they've been playing crazy minutes as far as their starters. Portland's on the back half of back-to-back. They're big dogs here. Tim, which game do you want to touch on first? Portland and Sacramento. Again, this is only for FanDuel, not for DK. FanDuel included the last two games.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of interest in DeMar DeRozan, so I'm going to start with Sacramento, 8,100 on FanDuel. This is a game that they should handle pretty easily, but I do still have some interest. I think DeRozan is your safest floor play. If you think this game stays close, which I actually kind of think it might, I do like DeAndre Ayton at 6,900 quite a bit. I don't mind Anthony Simons at 6,600. So I do have some interest in this game. I'm gonna play a couple players in my FanDuel single entry team. It could be DeRozan and Ayton. It could be DeRozan and Simons. I haven't quite decided yet. I don't even mind Jeremy Grant either at 7,100. So
He's been great so far.
I know. So I'm at least going to have a couple of guys on my team in single entry from this game.
Grant, 34% usage last game, 34 and 30 right to start the season, 22 the first game. But yeah, he's one of those guys you can score some points on a terrible team and he got paid and good for him. But we don't care about that. We just the matchup looks pretty good. It is, again, there's a bit of a kind of a blowout concern. Bobby, I don't know if you're playing the FanDuel slate. By all means, do you have any thoughts here? I know Tim was. That's why I threw it to him. Are you playing the FanDuel slate? Do you have any thoughts as far as Portland, Sacramento? By all means, bring in the Lakers and Phoenix. Beal is questionable, so got to be on alert for that. If he's out, I think Grayson Allen is off the injury report. Well, he was injured and then he had a baby, so I assume he's back. So maybe he would draw the start if Beal doesn't go. But yeah, what do you have as far as these two games, if anything?
Yeah, not playing the FanDuel slate, but I ran the Sims for just the RG Sims. DeMar DeRozan's really popping. Keegan Murray, power forward, small forward eligibility looks good. And Sabonis, center, power forward. Those guys are coming in pretty strong. In terms of the Lakers, and who are the Lakers playing? I'm only concerned with Phoenix. Yeah. Anthony Davis and Devin Booker are the two guys that are showing the most, and it's not that much currently. Around 15% for both. So those are the two guys that are popping in that game.
Tim, stuff that is broken throughout the show. Wagner officially in for Orlando. I think. Are you leaning on punting the first game, the only 7 o'clock game here?
I am punting the first game.
I think I am too. I'm not making 100 lineups. Just kind of throwing it out there, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be playing that. Definitely not the Indiana side. You can play some Orlando. I might just throw Banchero as a placeholder, but with Franz Wagner playing, I don't think there's any sort of screaming values that I must get. Bobby, you have any thoughts as far as that first game or punt that first game? And maybe we get some news out of nowhere. Maybe Ja doesn't play, which would certainly change things up for Memphis. We talked about how great that matchup is. If a Pippen could get 28 minutes or so against Pippen against what team did his dad? He played for the Houston Rockets, but he also played for the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, anything you want to add here is Bobby as far as that first game? We punted that first game, and I guess I'm trying to see if anything else has changed projection wise.
Well, I think we gave a couple. Sorry, Bobby, go ahead.
No, you go. You go ahead. I ended up cutting.
Well, we gave Wendell Carter a couple more minutes and points, so I think he would be interesting.
No Goga, no Isaac.
Right, like we're projecting him for 30 minutes now and almost 30 DK points. So I think he's decent. I don't think he's gonna be super high owned. If I wasn't gonna punt this game, I'd start off with Wendell Carter.
It's a good call. What do you got, Bobby?
Yeah, I like Suggs, 5,400. I think he's going to be someone I'm going to be. I'll be the most overweight on him, but I'll also be playing Franz and Wendell Carter too. No one on the indie side. No one on the indie side.
Crunch time's coming in momentarily. Do want to mention we have 189 votes, by the way. 189 votes. Does the D Wade statue look like him? 7% says yes. 93% says no. Maybe we'll show Crunch Time the picture if we have when Crunch Time pops in if they haven't seen it. For some reason, 189 people were able to vote on if the statue look at D Wade, but we have less than 100 likes. What up with that? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Bobby, give me your favorite cheapie, like your favorite cheap spend, and give me the player that's going to absolutely break the slate. And then Tim will see it and raise it. And we'll bring in Crunch Time.
Larry Nance is probably my favorite. Yeah, he'd probably be my favorite cheap spend, my favorite value piece. So I think it's between there's three players that I have significant interest in. Jalen Brunson, and that's only if we get the Hart news. He would probably jump to the top for me at 8,600. He's kind of like, it's not really a spend though. Not like a high spend. And then it would be between Tatum and Joker, and I think I like Tatum slightly more than Jokic.
Bobby, follow-up question. I was going to ask this, and somebody in chat beat me to it. Max 1 on Capella Nance. Nance hasn't played a second this year, so I was trying to see if they played together. Well, nobody's played with Nance. I don't know if they will play together tonight. I think it's possible, but I don't think you need it necessarily to happen either, right? You can get like 28 and 20. I think you can get there. Have you capped it at 1 as far as Max 1 Capella Nance?
I got 52 teams out of 433 teams, so I guess it's fine with those two.
If you have a thought in that, Tim, if you have a thought in that, by all means, fire it off, and then tell me your favorite cheapie, and then tell me the player that's going to break the slate. Might be the same person. Who knows?
My favorite cheapie is Zach Risachet. And then I think the player that breaks the slate gonna be I'll go Jokic.
All right, let's go ahead. Bring on Crunch Time. TJ Zwarych, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatchewan, Canada. Of course, you have chief meteorologist Kevin Roth holding it down, and we have the Juggalo himself. It is Kirkwood, Kirkdiese, aka Kid Yahoo. Here we go. Bring him on. What's up, boys? Happy Monday. Do we have a second? Can we show? Have you guys seen the statue of D Wade? Roth, have you seen the statue of Dwayne Wade?
It's everywhere. Everybody's seen it. The whole world has seen it, and it's freaking horrendous. It's so bad. It looks nothing like him.
How would you handle this, Roth? Like, say RG's going to give you a statue. You've been here for 25, 30 years. You're ready to hang it up. You're turning in all your meteorologist tools, and they give you a statue and it looks nothing like you. Are you being diplomatic, or do you say like, they're putting it up there right in headquarters in Nashville? Because he was kind about it. He didn't say like he's not. Well, that's not me.
I mean, when you do that side by side, it looks deep. It looks slightly better, but like you can't make a statue of a dude in his making the most passionate face he's ever made, because that doesn't look like you. Like that's not. What is that? By the way, the answer is you, Dean. You would be the one to be like, that doesn't look like Kevin. We need to redo it. I wouldn't say anything. You would help me out. You would
DM me. Say, do me a favor.
Yeah. Let him know.
Do you mind? let the sculptor know that's definitely not him. All right. We got anything else, boys, before you step aside and get out here and make way for crunch time? You have a big boy slate. They got 40 minutes to knock it out. Bobby, Tim, we good?
We're good.
I have something for Tim, first of all. Is Risachet, is that the correct pronunciation?
Believe it is.
Okay. I thought it was Reacher. So I just wanted to get that confirmed.
Well, maybe you,
Jack?
Reacher.
Are you one of the? Are you the name? Are you one of the guys in the chat that kills everyone for names?
Bobby, or else I would be adding in on you on every show. I don't care. I just wanted to know personally if that was.
He does it from his burner. He does it from his burner.
Yeah. No, I believe I'm correct. Kirk.
Okay. Then I what I needed to know. Thank you. Sorry.
Tony says looks like Teddy Pendergrass in chat, which made me laugh. I heard somebody say it looked more like Kelsey Grammer, and it cracked me up because you cannot unsee that. It's definitely not Kelsey Grammer, but it certainly looks like Kelsey Grammer when somebody tells you it does. All right. Myself, Bobby, Tim, we're getting out of here. Crunch time's taking over. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff as always. Welcome to it. Ladies and gents, you know the drill. It's crunch time. It's two of the sharpest minds in the biz hanging out with us. We got TJ Zwarych in the house. What up, TJ?
Not too much. A little tired, but ready to dive into the slate. Just kind of feel like I've been going nonstop for the last couple weeks and just starting to feel the burnout a little bit. But other than that, good to go.
I feel that. Well, I think last time we were talking about when the sports equinox is or if it would happen. And here it is. It is today. We've got all major sports going on. And we got Chris Kirkwood in the house. We had a comment from your boy, Butthole Jenkins. Kirkwood, you pimp.
That's right. That's right, player.
That's right. What it is. How you feeling, man?
I echo TJ's sentiments. There's too much sports going on today, so it's crazy shows, content, yada yada yada. We got to play some DFS, so I'm feeling that too. Plus, I've had a kid all day, screaming. So, yeah, I'm in the weeds. I'm in the weeds.
I feel you. I decided not to put my kids into school today, to just like hold them back to have fun time, like with the two of them. And that was a terrible decision. It was super fun in case they can hear me, but I'm exhausted. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about what we've got going on this slate. We got 9 games. It's a pretty fun build. At least I'm having fun kind of going through it. TJ, what have we got cooking here as you look at this slate?
Yeah, 9 games, still waiting on a small amount of injury news, like the guys that mentioned before. We're still waiting on John Morant, but for the most part, we know what we're going to be looking for. A lot of guys on Denver and Atlanta and Dallas kind of projecting well to start. Really, those 3 teams is looking like the big ones. The Washington-Atlanta game probably going to be getting a lot of ownership today, and rightfully so. We got Jamal Murray in a great spot. We got some value. We got some expensive players. So pretty 9 games, but pretty clear cut in terms of who the top optimal plays are.
Okay, well, let's start right there. We like to start on FanDuel. We'll go position by position. We'll kick it to DraftKings. We'll do the same. Then we will answer all of your questions. We'll talk some sports bets if we've got some time left over as well. So TJ, start me off at the old point guard spot on FanDuel. What do you like?
FanDuel at PG, much like DraftKings, Jamal Murray is the top point per dollar play on the slate. He's a cash game lock. It's just about what you want to do with him in tournaments. He's going to be 50+% owned on FanDuel. You're pairing him with one of White, Sexton, Irving, Van Vliet, Poole, all these guys totally fine from a cash game perspective. Murray is just the one that you absolutely have to be playing in that setting.
Is there something special with him, like someone's out, or he's just a little too cheap for our expectations?
Little bit. Hold on, sorry, adjusting a couple things here. Little bit too cheap for our expectations, and Denver is just kind of little bit under. Like they don't have a lot going on for them right now. Like they got Jokic and Murray and Porter, Gordon, and then just nobody else on that team.
So he's got to step it up.
So last 2 games, he's played 38 minutes and 36 minutes. He's only $7,300. So just looking like he's in a very good spot. Favorite tournament pivot is probably going to be Trae Young. He's one of the few. He's projecting for like 15-ish% owned on FanDuel, but he's one of the few guys who is not like for Atlanta, who's not picking up super heavy ownership. So I like him a lot for tournaments. I like Derek White. Dyson Daniels is somebody probably you're only playing on FanDuel, all the way up at $6,900 on DraftKings. But then in the cheaper range, I like Drew Holiday as a potential cheapie as well. Oh, I just saw Kirkdiese hasn't tagged, so maybe that's perfect time to hand that over.
That is a good transition. You want to start there, Kirk?
Who was it? Dyson Daniels?
Holiday on FanDuel.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Holiday's just too cheap. It's a revenge game against the Bucks. Like he'd think he'd be up for this game. So he's someone who generally starts really slow throughout the beginning of the season. So there's risk here. Plus, there's risk always that the Celtics blow them out. But I feel like I feel like he's going to be up for this game as a Celtics fan. And 5,800, he could blow through that. And go now that he might underwhelm, and Tatum looks different this season. That's one thing to notice. Like he's putting the kill on like early. Like the best thing that could have ever happened to him was getting benched for DNP'd for the Olympics. It looks like, because he's finally has that kill in him. It seems. Now will he keep it? I don't know, but those are. It's interesting to watch. But yeah, he's definitely like a good play for that price. Jamal Murray. The reason he's such a good play is because his price is kind of down because he's had 2 pretty subpar games. And based on, the Jamal Murray we know with the rates that he should be, he should be better than this. So it's just he's also had 2 tough matchups. OKC and LA Clippers aren't the most friendliest matchups. So he gets a good matchup tonight. They really need a win. They've started off bad. So he looks like a great play. Trae Young is awesome. It makes it a little bit harder to play Luka too, because of the price. But like this game, this should be the game. Washington, Atlanta, with a spread that's not too out of control, with Atlanta missing some of their players. So I'd bet on this game being close. 2 incredibly high, fast-paced teams who play, not much defense whatsoever, and a couple of the Hawks' best defensive players are out. And I'm still trying to get over that sickness I have.
Yeah, man. It's really like you started strong and then starting to fade. I'm sorry, man. All right. Well, I hate to do it to you, but you got to talk to me about shooting guard as well.
All right. Shooting guard. Kyrie Irving. Too cheap. Great in cash play. Great matchup against Utah. If this game stays close, he should be great for his price tag. Anthony Simons is another player that's just too cheap. Great for cash. Maybe his ceiling isn't the highest, but he does have a ceiling when he does go off. So I wouldn't worry too much. 6,600 seems kind of ridiculous. Jordan Poole in that game, 7,400, Washington, Atlanta. Someone who is going to just shoot an insane amount of times, whether he's good or bad. But in the one game where he actually played decent minutes, because they actually were competitive against the Celtics for most of the game, or at least for like the first half of the game. He got 32 minutes, massive use, 28% usage. If you put that in this game, he should go off. So like that, there's Mikal Bridges could end up being a good play if Kevin Hart is out. He's probably a fine play anyway, but if he's out. And I also like Bilal Coulibaly, the shooting guard for the Wizards in that game environment. He's someone that he has stepped up already. I've expected him to step up. He's played one really tough matchup against Boston where they, he was good in the first half, but lost some minutes in the second half. But 35 minutes in his last game, 20% plus usage, is a guy who's just taken a step up, and he's only 5,600. So I really like that play.
Okay, very good. TJ, you got a few more names for me?
Yeah, I really like the Jordan Poole call today. I'm on the same page there. I like Zach LaVine. Colin Sexton is going to be kind of like the chalk value play at $5,500. I like Bilal Coulibaly and Malik Monk as potential pivots off of him. Miles McBride, Gary Trent, these are a couple guys, and Jaden Hardy. They're all projecting decent as values, but I don't love it. I talked about it a little bit on the last show. He's been dealing with some injury, but Bradley Beal, yeah, I was laughing at that too, Kirkwood. You called Josh Hart Kevin Hart.
I didn't even notice it. I missed it completely.
I did it like a pro. I owned it,
Yeah.
that was funny. I talked about liking Derek White at point guard, but on the last show that I was on, I brought up how Bradley Beal kind of looks like a different guy this year compared to last season. He looks like the Bradley Beal we are used to seeing, and I think a shot at 7K on him is very interesting. And same with Desmond Bane at 7,500. Like, he becomes an amazing play if Morant doesn't play. But even as it is, I think Morant is a very solid play. Or sorry, Bane is a very solid play.
Sure. Okay. How about small forward?
Small forward. Sorry, I got so many tabs open here. I got to switch to the proper one. Zachary Risachet looking like our best value option today. He's going to be upwards of 50% owned at the small forward position, $3,900. I was going to say rookie sensation, but there are no rookie sensations this year. There aren't any that really super special rookies, it kind of looks like. But among the best ones, we are seeing Jalen Johnson, the two Atlanta guys coming in as chalk. I think they're both strong plays, both probably cash game options. Tobias Harris is projecting very well, but maybe I just have PTSD from last year. I just don't really want to play Tobias Harris, even though he's rating out very well, even though he's been fine through 2 games. I think we just gotta go ahead and say Tobias Harris, not for me for tournaments. That's kind of how I feel about it. Outside of those guys, some tournament pivots. Bane you can play here as well, 7,500. I like him a lot. Corey Kispert at 4,600, I think makes for an interesting value play. If Josh Hart plays, I think we can get to him. David Roddy, 3,500, a potential nice and cheapy. And then Paolo Banchero, 9,100 is a spend up I like for tournaments as well.
Okay. Chris, you got a few names to add?
No, I just did you say Bridges at all?
No.
Okay, so he actually looked a little better in his last game. If Joshua Hart is out, then he would be a better play. But, these guys get Tibbs minutes, so you can feel fine with them. I don't think there's a huge ceiling there for tournaments, but for cash, I think it's good. Michael Porter Jr. is too cheap. And, there's a lot of variance with the way he plays. Kuzma is probably my favorite play. He's looked awful, but he's going to come around. He's a guy that gets buckets. And so this is the perfect get-right spot for him. And even if he isn't playing well, he's going to be chucking anyway. So I think it's worth the risk for the poor play so far, Kuzma in that game environment. And then let's see. DeMar DeRozan, who we get to play because of the FanDuel slate has the extra 2 games. Like that. I like his call, Jalen Johnson. And then the top stud at this position to me would be Tatum.
Okay. By the way, Kuz is he's my flag plant of the night. I saw that price and how poorly he's been playing, but still shooting. I'm like, no, he's. Did
you see the one where he was falling, he tripped over his own feet or something and then chucked up and airballed the 3? It was
I didn't, but I love it. Now I'm gonna look it up. It's so Kuz between him and Poole. They're just. Ooh,
what? That's the ultimate team. They have those 2 guys together.
Insane. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Anyways, I just think he is a great play. So I love that you mentioned that. TJ, what are you doing at power forward?
Power forward, lots of decent options today for FanDuel.
Hang on. Wait. Kirkwood, did you do power forward?
I did not.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I wasn't ready, and I thought I was like, damn, I'm not on my game today. that was my fault.
That was on me. Kirkwood, why don't you run us through power forward?
All right. It's a lot of the same names from the small forward, but Jalen Johnson right there at the top because of this Hawks game and the value, and someone that's supposed to, just have a monster season. This is a perfect game for him to go off. Larry Nance is the cheap value play. He's probably going to get somewhere around 20 minutes. It's not a lot, but he's someone that can produce in that 20 minutes, especially in a high-paced, fast game like this. Kuz again, Michael Porter Jr. again, Anunoby for cash, 5,500 is cheap. And even if you just need it, I just don't think there's a huge ceiling for tournaments, but I think he still could be fine because he could do enough for you for tournaments. And then obviously the man that we need to talk about here for studs is Wemby. They get to run it back in the San Antonio-Houston game. He had, he played 30 minutes. Maybe should be around there again tonight. Had massive usage. He only had 3 blocks, no steals, but and low board numbers, but all these numbers are going to be coming up, and this is a good spot for him. So I like that. And then Sabonis potentially.
If I'm playing one stud and I'm choosing between Luka or Wemby, who would you prefer?
I mean, it's Luka. Luka's the correct answer.
Yeah.
But you want the fun answer?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's Wemby, right?
Yeah, I always, man. Yeah, I'm with you on that. TJ, what are you doing at power forward?
Jalen Johnson, I think, still the top option here. Like, again, I go back to the Tobias Harris chalk. That's something I want to be heavily underweight on. Sure, if you land on him in a cash game, but I don't personally want to get there very much. Larry Nance at 3,500 is a potential like best point per dollar play on the slate without a Kongu there, but he's also a potential will play 6 minutes and do absolutely nothing for you because he's a guy that hasn't played any minutes yet this year.
Yikes.
And so he's in a brand new situation. He could get all the backup center minutes and have 25 fantasy points, be incredible for 3,500. He might just not play. We don't really know. So very scary one there. I probably would avoid from a cash game scenario, but no problem with that in tournaments. PJ Washington at 54, Sohan at 6K, OG Anunoby at 55. I think there's a lot of really interesting low-owned players in the mid-range today. One of the reasons I feel like you just don't need to play Tobias Harris because there's tons of these options who could outplay him in that mid-range, like a Keegan Murray I don't mind today. And honestly, of the which would I rather play, Wemby or Luka? I think the answer is Anthony Davis at 10K.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's go to center, where I'm sure you will mention him as well.
Another
center eligible. Yeah,
another guy you can play at center. Same with Wemby. Both of these spend up options are fine. Same with Jokic. Absolutely nothing wrong with any of them. I do think I prefer Anthony Davis as my favorite spend up option. I like Şengün too, even though he let me down the other night coming in for incredibly low ownership. Nobody's going to be getting him today. Cash, you play Capella. No ifs, ands, or buts. You just throw him in there. He's going to be 40+% owned, even higher in the small stakes, in the small field stuff. So hammer Capella in there. He's the clear cash game option. DeAndre Ayton at 6,900. I don't mind as a pivot. Same with Jared Allen at 79. Miles Turner, 73, I think is fine, as is Yusuf Nurkic at 5,900. But I love the spend up for Anthony Davis. I love in a cash scenario, you just use Capella. And then my favorite mid-range pivot would be Ayton.
Okay, good stuff. Kirkwood, any names to add to that list? I feel like it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. Capella's the play because it's always about minutes with this guy, and they just, he usually splits with Okongwu. There's a chance they still may cap him like at 20, but I don't think that will be the case. I think he's going to get 25 plus, in which case he should absolutely smash against Washington. And then you could go opposite and go spend ups. But the thing about the spend ups is that you can spend up on these guys at power forward. So it would maybe like a double spend up would be a little bit different, playing like a Wemby and Anthony Davis, if you can make that work or something. But Capella should be a rock solid play tonight. Pivot off of him would be the other side would be Sar. Although I don't think he's that good, but he's 5K and in that game environment. And then DeAndre Ayton is kind of sneaky against Sacramento, and obviously the Joker, who this is a spot. I mean, the Nuggets should come out on fire tonight, and if Toronto can stay in this game, then the Nuggets haven't been playing that well, but this could be a huge Joker night.
What are your thoughts on Capella? Obviously, you mentioned you like him a lot. He's a great play, but trying to deal with that ownership. Do you want to be overweight the field on him if he's the best play at the position, or are you trying to get underweight and maybe pick somebody with higher upside?
I think I would probably be like close to the field on him, because he's a solid play, but I don't want to go over. I'd rather take some other builds into consideration, but and also he's got like some minute, he's a guy who usually has capped minutes, and we haven't heard anything with them saying anything different, but they just don't have many options. So I think the consensus is probably around 25 minutes tonight, but I would just stay close to the field or a little bit under.
Okay, good stuff. I want to kick it to DK, but before we do that, we should note, we know when you're trying to build those lineups, it's all about value. DFS is all about value. This is also the busiest time in the sports calendar, is literally the sports equinox, which means it is the most valuable time to sign up for RG Combo For a limited time, get your first month of combo access for $79.99, which is just $5 more than NBA Premium. So you add all the other sports for $5. Do not pass up this great value. Highly recommend you are getting in on that action now. We've got all of these sports going on. Let's kick it to DK here and talk about the builds over there. I've got a couple lineups in. I'm still jamming more in as we go through the show. Kirkwood, start us off there at point guard on DK, if you don't mind.
All right. We've got Luka, obviously, always in play for a top stud tonight. But the best point per dollar plays are probably, I'd say Trae Young is probably the best because he's getting so many minutes. He's the one guy who's been getting a ton of minutes. And, he played 41 minutes against Charlotte, and this is another type Charlotte in game environment, and he put up 71 fantasy points. You will take that any day of the week. I know that's pretty high for him in general, but this, he looks really, really good this season so far, and I like him. Kyrie Irving, Dyson Daniels, guy with a great new role in Atlanta, looks really good. Also someone who can get some steals and blocks and a bunch of peripherals going in a sloppy, high, fast-paced game with no defense. Sounds like a great spot to me for him. So he's good. Jamal Murray again, Jalen Brunson. Jalen Suggs at 5,400 is kind of sneaky in this first game that a lot of people aren't going to want to play, but he's got upside, and he also the Pacer matchup is something that could work with him from a steal standpoint and getting out in transition. So I like that. And then, yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Jordan
Good job.
Poole.
TJ, what do you like there at PG?
Yeah, we do still have to worry about the Ja Morant situation. If he happens to be out, then Scottie Pippen Jr. becomes probably the top play on the slate. Still waiting for that. I think he's probably going to play, personally. Other guys we like at the point guard position, Jamal Murray, once again, is the chalk cash game play. Dyson Daniels, probably somebody else you're looking to get to. I love Trae Young as my favorite spend up of the entire group. Derek White, 69, both the Whites, White and Kobe White and Derek White, 69 and 72. I think both are phenomenal price tags for tournament. Peyton Pritchard, potential interesting value play. Chris Paul, 5,900 going up against Houston, I think is a great value option as well.
Okay. How about shooting guard?
Yeah, shooting guard, it's a lot of the same names. Jamal Murray, Kyrie Irving, Dyson Daniels, Bilal Coulibaly is probably my favorite option at 4,900. He's just probably, based on his role this year, should be high fives, low sixes, and they haven't bumped him up there yet. So I think we want to keep playing Coulibaly as long as we can. Jordan Poole at 7,300, a very nice price tag on DraftKings going up against the Hawks. Love him. Same thing, Derek White, Kobe White once again. And then Julian Champagnie, I think, is okay if you need a salary saver.
All right. Kirkwood, you got a few names for me at shooting guard?
Jamal Murray, Kyrie Irving again, Bilal Coulibaly, Dyson Daniels, Jordan Poole, and for tournaments in the Memphis game should play pretty well. So like they're both teams are playing faster this season. So Zach LaVine is a guy that I kind of like in tournaments tonight.
Okay, good stuff. That brings us to small forward.
Oh, and I should also have mentioned Klay Thompson at shooting guard, but he's also small forward eligible. I mean, he's chucking, and he looks a lot better so far. So, in a good matchup, this could be against Utah. He could, shoot, keep great catch and shoot guy. This is the spot for him against the Jazz. So, other than that, anyone else new? Let's see. Michael Porter Jr., OG Anunoby, Tatum as the stud. Kuz again. Definitely like him at 7,500. I think he's just going to be a little bit underowned because of his bad play. Zach LaVine is another guy, and then Lauri Markkanen, maybe.
Okay, good stuff. TJ, your thoughts at small forward?
Yeah, a lot of great options there from Kirk. I think Risa Shea is my favorite. Risa Shea and Coulibaly are two of my favorites, both nice and cheap. Same with David Roddy, also on the Hawks. This is a position that I'm probably looking to punt a lot. And Risa Shea, Koulibaly, Roddy, my favorite guys to do so with. Somebody like a Stephon Castle, I think, is fine. Kaishan George for the Wizards, I think, is totally fine. And I mentioned Champagny at shooting guard. All these guys, valuable salary savers today. Desmond Bain is probably my favorite tournament option in the mid-tier at 7,600. And then it's like Kirkdiese said earlier, Jason Tatum has just been on another planet so far this year, so you can absolutely play him as well.
Okay. How about, I think that brings us to power forward, TJ.
Jalen Johnson is top option here for sure. Somebody you're playing in cash games. Larry Nance is the guy that we talked about on FanDuel. He is minimum price. He's flat 3K. He might break the slate. He might not play a minute, and we really have no idea. He hasn't played a minute yet this season. We're projecting him for 20, which makes him a great value, but we don't know. We haven't seen him yet. Mo Wagner popping a little bit at $3,800. Kuzma is in a nice spot at 75. And then Paolo Banchero, 88, is another guy I like as well. There's a lot of cheap guys you can take shots on, like a PJ Washington and Nikola Jovic. They're all totally fine as well. OG Anunoby. But Jalen Johnson's really the one player that stands out as like a very strong play today.
Okay, good stuff. Kirkwood, anything you want to add there at power forward?
Yeah, I'll start with two cheap guys to take shots on. One, the Jeremy Sojan has just been insane, and it gets to run it back. So I love him. But like a sneakier play would be your boy PJ Washington, because with Kleber out, he could see, a few more minutes in this. It's a good matchup, especially for catch and shoot guys. And he's someone who's willing to shoot the three and also, rebound and whatnot. So I could see him working tonight. And then let's see, Aaron Gordon. If Toronto hangs in this game, Aaron Gordon's the kind of guy that could play really well against Toronto. So he's only 6K. So I'm interested there.
Okay, take me to center.
Center. All right. We've got Larry Nance again, potentially. I think he's gonna. I think you're fine playing Nance.
Can you play Nance and Capella?
Yeah, you can. I think that because that's how it should be. I don't think they're going to cap each other to some extent. I think we're looking to get all Capella really needs is 20 minutes to pay off the salary. Getting 25 to potentially even more than that is a bonus. And maybe Nance will play some together with him. And then also if he gets the backup minutes and you're looking close to 20, they're just both so cheap and it's such a good game environment that, I think you can play them together.
Okay. Any other names? Sorry, I kind of cut you off.
Yeah, Carl Anthony Towns, 8,400. Probably not the easiest matchup against. He's probably going to get Mobley, I would think. But we'll see if it's Mobley or Allen. But Jokic, obviously, like I said, I think he could go off tonight. Victor Wembanyama, you can play all these guys now for cheap. Hurdle makes a lot of sense just from a minutes play, having to be on the floor against the Joker. But foul trouble could be there too, so there's risk there for sure. But also there's high minute ceiling potential in this game. And then Derek Lively, even off the bench, 5,100 is a guy who can put up a bunch of stats really quickly, as bunch of lobs from Luka and whatnot. Against just the Jazz are just so bad defensively, I could see that working out. And Miles Turner is someone I think is also a good play.
Good stuff. TJ, final thoughts here at center on DK.
Yeah, Capella, like we've been talking about, is the cash option, the best play here. All you're worried about is ownership. Larry Nance, flat 3K. It's you do it if you want it, don't if you don't. I have some Nance, not really playing any of him and Capella together personally, but they are so cheap. I think it's viable. Derek Lively looking like a really strong pivot option off of Clint Capella today. Similar price range, coming in a lot less ownership. Exact same thing for Walker Kessler and Daniel Gafford. Of the spend ups, I love Wemby's price tag on DraftKings. He's been really disappointing so far this year, but I do like the idea of pairing him and Şengün together. It's even lower owned than the other night when I was talking about it. And Şengün is projecting for 0.2% ownership today. I think he's just the top top low-owned option of all the tournament plays. Brooke Lopez, 61, I have a little interest in. That's kind of it for the guys that I like the best at that position, I think. Anything else would just be naming names just to name names.
Okay. Last year, I went to a Spurs Rockets game to see Wemby, and Şengün just bodied him. Yeah, Şengün, I want to say almost had 40 points. It was like upper 30s, 15 boards, just absolutely dominated the game. So,
you've seen the new Wemby, hit after hitting the gym this
is he? I honestly haven't. Did he get bigger?
He's a little.
Is he
thicker.
a little more filled out? Yeah,
little thicker.
All right, he'll get there. Okay, good stuff, guys. We're about 6-7 minutes until lock. Budho saying Şengün got bodied. He actually said bread by Wemby last game.
Broad.
I don't know.
You got Big
Broad. Okay, all right. That makes more sense than what I said.
That's right, Pimp.
Point is, yeah, that's right. What it is. Hey, do you guys want access to the most advanced NBA data in the market? Of course you do. Well, get shot quality projections for Lineup HQ. You can get 1 month of access for $40 or yearly access for $200. And if you want to give it a test run, a 3-day pass is $9.99. So if you're looking for some different projections, you're trying to see things a different way, then perhaps shot quality is for you. And it plugs right in there to Lineup HQ, which is really, really nice. We're roughly 6 minutes away from lock. Let's see what we've got. Diving into the QQs here. We got Meansy hanging out in the Discord, which is nice to see. We got Mike. He says, FanDuel GPP TJ, max number of Washington Atlanta players in a lineup. What do you got?
Insert the GIF from Mean Girls with Lindsay Lohan. The limit does not exist. If you are allowed to play that many, you can play that many.
Okay. FanDuel cash question. Kirkwood coming to you. Poole or Van Vliet?
Oh, Poole.
Okay. D-Rock says DKGPP 6,400 or less in the util. TJ, what do you got? DKGPP 6,400 or less. Do we get the Mean Girls gift? Yeah, there she is.
Limit does not exist. 6,400 in the util.
What was Sohan's price at? 59 or something? What was it?
Even cheaper.
Even cheaper. No, that's
the guy that projects the best is Tobias Harris, and I don't like it. I would say Colin Sexton.
Okay. Good stuff. TJ, I'm coming right back to you here with another one. It is a FanDuel GPP question. Oh, and I actually asked this. Favorite stud, and I think for you, it was AD.
Yeah, I think Anthony Davis on FanDuel. You don't have that game on DraftKings. Yeah. Might lower the ownership a little bit. Plus, he's got a cheaper price tag than Wemby, Giannis, Luka, and Jokic. And he's amazing. Yeah, I absolutely love that call. Why is the game not on DraftKings? Can we briefly discuss that? DraftKings has been cutting off the latest ones of the slate. So
God bless them for doing it over here on East Coast time. Just with a baby now, it's much appreciated.
All right, because you're worried if news breaks late. In case.
Well, not only that, like, and if you like to sweat your games, like I'm a complete degenerate who watches every play of every player I play. It's plus then you got to cool down a little bit, right after you.
Yeah, because you're
throwing the laptop. Yeah, you threw the laptop. Yeah.
I get you. All right. Darren says DK Cash. Kirkwood coming to you here. Murray Johnson or Tatum Daniels?
Murray Johnson.
Okay.
Wait, they're the same price. Like those two, those are the same price.
I assume. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Murray Johnson for cash.
Okay. We'll go to Steven, who says, Kirkwood, do you want Kyrie or Poole?
I mean, just give me Poole in the game environment where he's going to chuck relentlessly, but they're both really good plays.
Yeah. By the way, Kuz is going to destroy. Like, Kuz is going to crush tonight. The more I think about it, the more I absolutely love that play. TJ, do you have any Kuz? Or is it Kirkwood and I alone? Are we on an island?
I don't know if I do, actually. I was running out of time, and so I let SimLabs throw in my lineups for me today. And I'm just kind of hand adjusting some things right now, so I don't actually know how much Kuz I had. But I can tell you I got 8K remainder for this one. Let's throw Kuz in it right now.
Yeah, there we go. All right, now we're all.
I have a lot of like full stacks of Atlanta and Washington, and by full I mean like 7+ players.
Hey, run it up. Let's let it be 150 to 147. Let's see. What do we got? Koulibaly, TJ, or Lively? Koulibaly or Lively?
Koulibaly.
Okay. Jumping into the Discord, we're doing a good
Sorry,
job.
that question, the pool Kyrie question, what was that? GPP or
it didn't
Cash?
say. It was just generic, so I assumed GPP.
Yeah, that's what I answered it like.
Kyrie for cash on FanDuel
Yeah.
and pool for GPP.
Okay. Razzle Dazzle says Kirkwood 5,200 or less in the util, but it is a DK cash question. 5,200 or less util, DK cash.
1 second. What's Capella? Hold on. I'm just gonna sort everything. Sorry.
Capella is 54.
Yeah. I don't see anything in the cash build, but give me one more second here and I'll give it 52. What are our options? There's Anunoby is fine. So OG Anunoby, and he goes up too if parts out. Do we get any word there?
I don't think so. I think I saw maybe it was like a game time or questionable still. I didn't see any like
Play about 2 games. No, nothing on Hart or Morant yet. It is a really ugly range for cash. Like it's Westbrook, I guess, would be the one I'd want the most.
So I was looking at my cash lineup and I was like, okay, does anyone fit that? Everyone's either more expensive or less expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really gross range for a cash game.
You could play Derek Lively too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll go. Let's see. Less than a minute until lock. Make sure you get those lineups in. Beaner says FanDuel, GPP, Kirkwood, Lance, or Sohan.
No, Sohan.
Whoops.
The Sohan.
Yeah. Don't mess with the Sohan. Jay Sam says, TJ, on FanDuel, do any of these guys negatively correlate with Ricochet? Okay. All right. Hang on. Do any of these names negatively correlate? Dyson, Ricochet, Johnson, Capella.
Not to the point that you're worried about it. Like I wouldn't play all 4 together in the same lineup without any Washington players. I think you need some Washington runbacks if you're playing 4 Atlanta players, but I don't think you're worried about negative correlation for any of those, except for like maybe a little Ricochet and Capella, Ricochet and Johnson, but not to the point you're worried about it. Going back to the question about the DK cash question, I just realized I was looking at FanDuel. If you don't have Koulibaly, that's the top option. And then like Kirk said, Lively is the other one. I think those would be the only 2 kind of like firmly in consideration for cash.
Okay. He says, for what it's worth, he had Lively plugged in, so he was on it there. TJ, can you rank your top 4 Atlanta values? By the way, we have officially hit the lock. And Wendy's Balls says DK should bring back the late slate games because I want everyone to suffer until 10 p.m. Thanks.
Well, it's much after. Wendy's Balls.
You got to suffer till like 1 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. If you're sweating.
Wendy's Balls doesn't care if you suffer. You think Wendy's Balls gives a damn if you suffer?
Nah, it's Wendy's Balls. They don't care. TJ, what are we doing here? Top 4 value on Atlanta, and then we'll bounce out of here in a bit.
Clint Capella 1, Dyson Daniels 2, Zach Ricochet 3. Now but if Ricochet above Daniels on FanDuel, this is DK specific. David Roddy 4, Larry Nance 5.
Ooh, okay. Jaw is out. This is official from Dean, who is a source that I trust. I believe in him. Let's
Jaw's
stay
out.
on
The Pippen and Bane.
So let's just talk it out real quick. No Jaw. Who gets the biggest bumps? And
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Scottie Pippen Jr. is the
probably
best
starts
right now.
All right. What is his price and position?
$5,200 point guard on DraftKings. On FanDuel, let's double check. Smart gets a bump. Bane gets a bump. Valanciunas is starting today. Interesting. We're getting a lot of news right after walk here. It had been Carrington over Valanciunas, so he's back in the starting lineup against Capella. That makes sense. He'll probably just mirror his minutes. Pippen on FanDuel is a 5,300 point guard. So Pippen's a must play for single entry in cash. He is the best value on the slate. And Marcus Smart and Desmond Bain both look a lot better than they did before.
Oh God! All right, I gotta blow up everything now.
It's the worst.
It's so bad. I just
You're
wanna
like, oh, we're
relax.
gonna make it to lock. We made it to okay. That now.
Yeah. Oh, we made it to lock. Now I got to figure all this shit out. All right. Hey, good stuff. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. So for Kirkwood, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been